This isn't a tutorial for how to play Phantasy Star online in 2022. You can find plenty of guides out there that'll help you out. This is a personal experience on playing Phantasy Star online in 2022. Right from the start, I can let you know I had some difficulties doing so, even following these videos and tutorials, but I'll get to all that later. I've played Phantasy Star Online 2 the past couple of years, with the new Genesis update being enjoyable for a while, but they didn't capture that same fun I had with the first, and usually you can just blame nostalgia for that, but there is just something special when I think about PSO and the Dreamcast in general. I didn't grow up as an online PC gamer. The first experience with online gaming came from the Dreamcast back in 2000 or 2001. PC gamers already experienced online gameplay with the likes of Diablo, which is probably the biggest influence for PSO. It's like Diablo for a Japanese audience and Western JRPG fans. I have fond memories of disconnecting the phone line at night with my brothers so that we could connect to Dreamcast Online and play Shenmue Passport, Choo Choo Rocket, but I do remember my brothers playing Phantasy Star Online. People seem to forget just how influential this game would be. Yes, Diablo and the like already existed, but nothing really looked like this. Those lobbies, 3D characters and environments, massive bosses. Obviously this would go on to influence Monster Hunter, possibly World of Warcraft in some ways. Creating a character, choosing a class, doing missions, looting. This is just pure classic MMO light fun. Now, does it compare to today's environment for online gaming? Of course not, but I believe the philosophy of less can be more. At first it was just the episode 1 on the Dreamcast, but there would be an episode 2 release, and later on these two would be combined in future releases. A Japanese-only Windows version was also released, but it wasn't until the 2002 Gamecube release that I really became a fan. I played it a lot. I never did play it online though. I didn't know anyone that actually played the Gamecube online. A year later an Xbox version was released, which definitely seemed like a better fit for this game since Xbox perfected the online experience. You know, the good old days of Xbox Live. Shut up! Nostalgia aside, for those with the consoles, the easiest and more practical way of playing this game now is by playing the PC version of it, Blueburst. It isn't demanding, really any piece of crap can play it. The Phantasy Star Ultima server provides a download for the full experience, an easy way to register an account, and then you're in. Oh, and it's all free, no spending money on ridiculously overpriced accessories, consoles, games, SD cards, and so on, just to play one old game again. Plenty of controller options too, and there are mods and customizable skins. Episodes 1 and 2 are included however you play the game. 3 was exclusive to the Gamecube, turn-based card game, totally different, and then there was an episode 4 that was only available on the PC version of the game. So if you need further proof that the PC is the best way to go, you get even more areas to explore, and it's the easiest setup available. But I like to make things harder for myself, and I kinda let my love for retro games get the better of me. The Dreamcast is as authentic as you can get. The controller, the VMU, the game, which for some reason is registered to one Dreamcast only, so any original data I or my brothers had for Phantasy Star Online is locked to our original Dreamcast, which probably doesn't even work anymore. Maybe too many Marvel vs. Capcom 2 parties. Maybe it's my copy of the games, but they just run slower compared to what I'm used to on the Gamecube. I mean, the Gamecube and Xbox versions are a better experience in total, as they include more features, slightly better graphics, and I think just run smoother. One way to break down which option you want to choose is by looking at the controller. The Dreamcast, I think, is superior to that GameCube controller for this game. The Xbox controller is honestly just a redesigned Dreamcast one. I always thought the Xbox was sort of a spiritual successor to the Dreamcast in many ways. So perhaps you have an older console but don't have an older TV. There are plenty of HDMI adapters. The results, the resolutions vary of course, depending on how much you want to spend. Never think there aren't modern solutions for dusting off those older video games. I guess unless you just want to emulate everything. The entire point is for me to play this game online. Yes, you can play the Dreamcast version online. You can use a broadband adapter. Yeah, never mind. Now the popular private server, these games live on due to brilliant minds behind private servers. The Dreamcast private server choice seems to be Silverant, as it's the closest experience to the original Sega server. The Xbox version of this game, well, first of all, I know nothing about soft modding the Xbox, but other than that, you can't even play this version, even offline, unless you have a saved Xbox Live account on your console. And when did those servers go offline? 10, 15 years ago? The game itself can be bought for a few dollars, so at least you can add it to your collection. Luckily, I still have an older account associated with my Xbox, so I can technically play this game offline. That Ethernet port on the back would come in handy, making connecting online pretty painless. But as it stands, I can play this game offline. I'm not sure if you can trick the Xbox with any sort of mod to thinking it has a live account linked to it or not. Speaking of Xbox, the 360 was the popular destination for the next online entry in the series, Phantasy Star Universe. That was a lot of fun, and it had a free version, so I remember a ton of people playing it, well, mostly just messing around in the lobby. And yes, there are private servers for that one too. If you aren't going with the PC version of the game, the GameCube one is the best, for a few different reasons. The GameCube controller, it's pretty weird. It worked well though with games like Smash Brothers and even Resident Evil. Those analog triggers are unique, though they aren't utilized for a PSO. So the wired version, or the Wavebird, they work well for the game. I was harsh on this, but yeah, using the menus with the C-stick while still moving around is helpful. Everything the GameCube does though, the Wii can do better. Homebrewing, one of the best options for emulation and mods. If you own a Wii in 2022, homebrew it. It's a simple process. It's the easiest way to soft mod any console in my experience. Tons of tutorials out there too. But once you have that homebrewed, you can use even more controller options. Classic Pro controller is a good alternative. Homebrewing is the easiest way to connect online as well. GameCube requires a broadband adapter. Now when I was weighing my options, I had a homebrewed Wii and a GameCube with no broadband adapter, and I already made one huge purchase in playing this game again, so the idea of dropping another 100 just for one game wasn't very appealing. But let's get real, going with this would have been so much easier. Connecting to private servers on the GameCube is simple, as the broadband adapter does all the work, more or less. But yes, I ultimately went with the Wii. I followed the tutorials, found the right homebrew apps, and guess what? It was a nightmare to connect to a private server. The Wii is old and just would not connect to my current Wi-Fi. But then I found out the Wii doesn't connect to this 5 GHz connection, so then I had to figure out how to get my Wi-Fi to a 2.4 setting. So that sucked, but eventually I was connected online. I had the Nintendo app installed. You can use memory cards of course, but this app allows SD card emulation, which is necessary for playing with your data on a Wii U. Oh yeah, so my Wii U is modded as well, so I can go back and forth playing on both consoles using this SD card. Anyway, I booted up PSO and I just could not connect online. So I tried on the Wii U, that too wouldn't connect online. Obviously, something was wrong, but not a single tutorial mentioned the main issue I was having. Well, I went into the Nintendo settings. Lots of neat stuff here. You need that memory card emulation on. BBA emulation? I had no idea what BBA was, but yeah, broadband adapter. It's automatically turned off, which I don't know why. A complete pain in the ass. Well, after you turn that on, yes, you can connect online. Server connected, mission complete. But let's back up. Between the Gamecube, the Wii, and the Wii U, there are tons of ways to play Phantasy Star Online, but playing online, a crucial component is communication, and typing like this ain't gonna cut it. So I got myself one of these. There were two versions of the Gamecube keyboard released, only in Japan. This version and Sammy. Both are pretty much the same. Honestly, I like the Sammy box more. It looks cooler with the PSO characters on it. The ASCII version has a purple shell, which I prefer. I hate eBay prices. Anything that is old instantly means it's worth more than it should ever cost. People sell these things at ridiculous prices because people pay ridiculous prices, so the joke's on me. I dropped some money on this thing. Now, years ago, this cost about $60. Today, I don't want to talk about it. Nevertheless, it's awesome. I love the weight to it. Sure, the keyboard itself is small. You can use this controller as a GameCube controller for any game, but the keyboard itself only works with PSO. I don't know, would people use this in a Smash Brothers tournament? This guy did. But for the price of this thing, I wouldn't use it for anything that may result in too much controller abuse. Another cool accessory only available for the GameCube version is the Game Boy Advance cable link. You can hook up a Game Boy Advance and complete certain tasks to unlock minigames. That's a nice bonus feature. The Wii U can also play this game online as long as you have that BBA emulation turned on. If you have a GameCube controller adapter, you can use Wavebirds and even the keyboard controller, but it doesn't type. Any alternative-like accessory does not work with the Wii U. The trade-off though is the gamepad. You can emulate PSO to play on the gamepad. Now diving into the game itself, first things first, one I love but kind of dread as well, is making a character. Unlike many other similar games, each class, and depending on whether you choose male or female, will totally be different from each other. That's pretty hardcore. There are 3 classes. In the past I've always made a hunter, so right away I cut that entire class out. Plenty of great online guides that break down the differences between each of the 8 remaining choices here. I went purely with a stat decision, strong mental strength and strong range strength. Weak HP doesn't bother me since you can use monomates to quickly cure, so I went with the raw moral. So after taking forever to create a character, by the way, that music, Image of a Hero, that has to be a top 10 favorite music track for sure. Now I take forever thinking of a name. So I once had a cat named Faye, so yeah, Faye it is. Yes, you need a private server. The main one for GameCube is Shitserv. Back in the day, you needed a special serial code to access servers. It would come in your GameCube manual or Dreamcast or whatever, but you don't need that. You just sign up on their website. For some reason my email wasn't working, but then I made a Yahoo account and it worked, so I guess keep that in mind. But you can create your own serial number, which is amazing. Always fun to run around in this Blade Runner-esque world. I mean, it's small, you got a few shops, a mission counter, a transport to the mission area. Episode 2 has its own lobby as well. There are only 4 levels to explore in the first episode, Episode 2 having a few of its own as well, each requiring you to defeat a boss before unlocking the next area and set of missions as well. Rappies were always pretty funny. You can't kill them though, they just kind of run away. And best of all, level up your mags. The biggest atrocity in the newest Phantasy Star Online 2 was the lack of mag individuality. Here, depending on what items you feed it, only 3 at a time, it'll level up and evolve differently. There are all sorts of awesome evolutions for these things, and the one I really want are those choo-choo rocket ones. But yeah, it's just fun to play this game online and connect with people who are just as passionate about this old game as you are. There's even a dedicated Discord, so yeah, find some people and have them help you out on the missions. A game like Phantasy Star Online 2 has too much going on and most of it is very unnecessary. I think Phantasy Star Universe is a perfect balance, but this first one is a classic. And you should check it out if you were a fan back in the day.